Come back, the FCC caves on a plan to investigate whether TV stations are biased. Was that an attempt at government intimidation? And the FCC touched off a storm of criticism with a plan to meddle in TV newsrooms. Under a pilot project that had been scheduled to get underway in South Carolina, the commission said it wanted to examine, quote, the process by which stories are selected, each station's news philosophy, and get this one, perceived station bias. The commission backed off late Friday afternoon, saying it wouldn't ask such questions until its study was redesigned. That, in classic Washington fashion, Rick, means that it is dead as a doornail. But how did this get so far, and why did some people think this was a good idea?
Well, you know, it's like creating a phony academic study to support a liberal mainstream media bias. I mean, if you look at the two universities that they picked, you couldn't be more entrenched in the liberal bias. I mean, you have Annenberg. I used to teach at Annenberg. I know that institution. It is steeped in liberal bias. And then the University of Wisconsin at Madison. This was a way to get the academia world to really put a stamp of approval on our worldview, our liberal worldview, and this is what you all should be doing.
The ostensible reason here was to aid diversity and make sure that 8 critical areas of information were being covered. But to me, and I mean, I've been out front on this, I think this is just, the FCC has no business meddling in news content. But most of the criticism, Kelly, has come from the right. Shouldn't liberals be equally concerned about what I see, at least, as a assault on free press?
Well, I can help them from the get-go with this study to let them know that newsrooms are not as diverse as they should be, so I can save them all the money they were going to spend trying to figure that out. But the other thing is, I actually think that in theory, I'd love to see us figure out what's going on wrong in newsrooms, because I do think that there is something that's going wrong because the news should be better. I mean, I don't know anyone who's actually been thrilled with the direction things are heading in the last couple of years. Do I think that this is the direction to go? I have to say, though, I think my friend here could run a conspiracy theory blog, because I certainly didn't read this and go, oh my gosh, you know, the University of Wisconsin is trying to pull some liberal wool over our eyes. I certainly didn't agree with that. The University
well, here,
of
let's
Wisconsin,
talk about
I've never
diversity.
been to Wisconsin, and I don't know where they stand, so I don't know if I agree with them or not.
Well, I can assure you that the University of Wisconsin at Madison is a liberal institution. I'm all for diversity. Let's have diversity of opinion, not just color or gender or sexual orientation. The newsrooms are desperate for diversity of opinion, Howie.
I am not going to argue with that. I also don't want the government as the arbiter of those opinions.
Because take a look at what happened during Watergate. I mean, Nixon's FCC basically harassed the Washington Post and said it was going to investigate 2 of its TV stations.
To challenge the license. And that's the thing that's so ominous here, is the FCC has that power. And yet, while there seems to be a consensus at this table that this was not the way to go, and the FCC ought to mind its business when it comes to the business of journalism, not whether a station is living up to its public interest obligations, but how it gathers the news. I haven't seen anything on this all week in the New York Times, in the AP, nightly newscasts, and I wonder why that is.
came out, and he was actually on Fox and Friends, the FCC commissioner, one of the FCC commissioners, and he came out in the Wall Street Journal saying, this is ridiculous, we shouldn't be doing this, and he came on Fox and Friends this morning saying basically the same thing.
Look, I'd like to see the FCC with better priorities, like getting the Kardashians off the air, the Bad Girls Club, and a couple of the other trash.
There you're willing to use the heavy hand of government, but Rick,
I'm pro-Kardashian.
Oh, you are not.
Of course, it's a free world.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay, but
the reason
I wonder whether is it because the criticism is coming from the right, and so New York Times and others say, well, this is just a sort of a conservative hobby horse?
Let me guarantee you, Howie, that if this was the Bush FCC that did this, it would be front page of the New York Times, and every single reporter at the New York Times would be trying to find a way to put it into their stories on any issue, including the Ukraine.
And I cannot argue with that. I think that it was a big mistake by much of the mainstream media, even though this thing hadn't gotten fully underway. It's dead now, but it died because of the media pressure and the criticism.
And that's
conservative
good for the free press.
All right, a small victory for free press. Rick Grinnell, Kelly Goff, thanks very much for coming by this Sunday.